Pro endurance teams from around the globe travel the Sebring International Raceway to abuse their cars in 36-hour tests to find any weak links prior to the Rolex 24 or Le Mans. But clip about 2 miles off the famed track's layout, and you have the perfect venue to test for street track racing. Sebring's Club Course. It eliminates the most legendary of Sebring's bumps, turns 1 and 17, because they would exceed even what a bumpy street circuit layout would tolerate. But there are still bumps and pavement changes aplenty, and at just shy of 1.7 miles, they come at you relentlessly. Plus, the track isn't lined with concrete barriers, so you can push the limit in testing with far less risk to the cars and occupants. It's also, though, just plain fun, and that's why numerous sanctioning bodies hold events on the club course. And with Full Send Sims pushing the motto, practice makes podium, tonight the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miatas take to that track for an evening of road racing's version of short track action. Hi folks, I'm Greg Creamer. Welcome to round 4 of this year's second season. Joining me as always is Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, with the huge fields we've been seeing this year, it's possible Sebring will tonight perhaps be seeing far more cars per mile than ever before.
This is a tight racetrack. Sebring, in its full form, is incredibly fast. It's got so many different types of corners, but this club track, it's really rough and tumble. And the name, I think, perfectly encapsulates what we mean by club course, Greg. It's got all those tight, twisty corners. It doesn't have a lot of straightaway, and you're turning all of the time. It's mechanical grip. It's going to be passing opportunities, but it is going to be tight, and avoiding trouble is the name of the game in 2 20-minute races tonight.
Yeah, we've seen on the long course some phenomenal Spec Miata racing, but we've seen it here on the short course when we've run too, and I think we're going to be in for a great show tonight. It's just busy, and we like that.
It is going to be busy, and we actually held our championship race here a couple of seasons ago, and it put on a show, didn't it, Greg? So we're really anticipating the racing tonight, and the weather has been a topic of discussion already. Sebring, Florida can be hot, but the sun is beating down on the Central Florida racetrack. 126-degree Fahrenheit track temp, Greg.
Yeah, that is really going to take a toll on tires, even on this short track. Like we said, unlike the regular full course, there's not a lot of long straights here where you can just sort of ease off and let the tires and brakes cool a little bit. So they're going to have to be a bit mindful for that. The air temp pleasantly cool, but it's the brutal sun and how this track reacts to it that's going to play a big difference, isn't it?
It certainly is. I think qualifying is also pretty critical here today because we come off of a racetrack, a couple of tracks, Mid-Ohio, VIR, and a few others, that had a lot of straightaway and drafting and passing opportunity. You've got passing opportunity here at this track, but you don't have the long straightaways running up to the corners to slipstream. So it's all about how you can qualify. You don't really have much assistance from that draft, and that means, Greg, that this time that we're on course for right now is really important.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical to get out there, get this the laps in. Nicholas Rice-Puto, of course, the defending series champion, has that, but it's a dead even heat right now with Joshua Soto, who had an absolutely superb weekend at Mid-Ohio. Morgan Burkhardt there he had to fight back a couple of times. Camden Hibbett didn't even run. So there were lots of things that kind of churned up. Ooh, a little bit of a bump and go there. Unintentional, I'm sure it was. And, before we get much farther into it here, Kyle, I think we need to say, obviously, a big thank you to Full Send Sims and, what Court Schmidt is continuing to do. And in that vein, there was an announcement made. I also do some announcing at FARA, and we were at Sebring last weekend. And there was an announcement made that FARA has come on board as a Tier 2 sponsor of the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship. And if you're not familiar with FARA, it provides some of the most accessible road racing series for spectators with 0 ticket costs and a minor parking fee. Basically, it comes down to a family of 4 can go and enjoy a weekend of racing for $40. I mean, that's unheard of. It also provides those spectators with a highly diverse variety of cars and drivers, including GT cars, prototypes, formula cars, and their new and wildly successful Pro Spec Miata series, near and dear to our hearts, of course, featuring some of the best racing on the planet. You see it here, you see it there, and it is being played out. They have kid zones, food trucks, car shows, grid walks, all to enhance the spectator experience. And that accessibility and diversity really extends to competitors as well, Kyle, with a variety of classes for virtually any level of race car and very reasonable entry fees. And if you've always been interested in racing or just driving your street car at high speed on legendary racetracks like Sebring, They also have their HPDE, or High Performance Driver Education program, from beginner through intermediate to advanced, and then they even provide a time attack style competition for the top of the advanced category. And if for some reason you just can't make it out to an event, they stream each weekend in its entirety from qualifying through the multiple racers per class, and yours truly doing the announcing. So hopefully we can bring you a lot of excitement on the stream as well. So obviously need to welcome them and say thank you. And of course, Jose de las Casas, one of the owners of, in their second year of the new FAR management, really a key player, and he's out here. He's been racing with us since the inception of this. There he is in the Barbie car. And it's great to have them on board officially. And then, of course, we cannot forget 3P Logistics. They have done an absolutely superb job since the very start of all this. Remarkable logistical support for you, your family, and your car. They'll take care of everything from booking flights, car rentals, hotels, group gatherings, everything while you're away from home. And Final Turn Motorsports, which is a full-service prep shop, trackside support, dyno tuning, a Miata tranny builder. They do it all as well, and driver development from licensing right through to pro racing. And of course, Wine Country Motorsports. They joined us about halfway through that first season, and they are the racers' resource for helmets, gloves, suits, shoes, seats, harnesses, anything regarding safety and racing. They are your absolutely go-to location. So big thanks to all of them, but so cool to have Farah joining us here, Kyle. And they have some great races in the real world, and now they're joining up here and being a part of what we do here in the sim world. And it just seems a natural fit, especially with their Pro Spec Miata class, which has been getting over 30 entries per event with money on the line. Racing's insane there too.
Yeah, and I love their strategy for spectators. Bring them in and let them see the action all for free. I think that is spectacular. Yes. And what a great concept there, Greg, and thrilling to also have fields that, you know, the size that they've got with Spec Miatas, and also that they're streaming it for everyone to watch. Really need to have them on board, and a big thanks to them and Jose de las Casas for making that happen and welcoming them on board as a partner, as you see them scrolling in the top right of the screen, as they always do. But 3 minutes and 50 seconds left here in qualifying, and looking up and down the order, there's some drivers that we noted that are missing. One of them, Jordan Rick Segrini, who also missed Mid-Ohio, Greg, so that's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, not exactly sure what was happening there, but I know obviously he's pretty focused on that, the series you're calling with him in the Toyotas, and maybe he's just really focusing on that right now. Nice to have Giancarlo Schooler back with us. Nice to have him here. And Camden Hibbett didn't race at Mid-Ohio, and you know, that obviously opened the door up. But the interesting thing, Camden has been doing so well in the championship that after Josh Soto's superb weekend at Mid-Ohio, they come in here dead even in the points at 45. So, you know, that's pretty close. Nicholas Rice Pudo's third with 40. Morgan Burkhardt and Dean Dibdahl are tied for fourth with 38. Then Cam Evan has 32. Trace Hance, 30. And then it's Beans Forster, Olivier Piatek, Deacon Greenfield, and Murphy Nichols, all, and then Jean Reyes and James Newell all in there. And you know, the other guy, and obviously I wasn't there to call it, and you guys, you and Andrew did a superb job, obviously, but a young man named Andrew Gilliland had a superb event at Mid-Ohio, didn't he? He
had some great pace, put himself in the right position. I don't think it panned out quite the way he was hoping for. He was running a lot higher than he finished, I think, in both races. But regardless, we saw some immense speed there, and currently P14 here in qualifying. But if he can kind of garner some of that speed that he found at Mid-Ohio, he's going to be dangerous later in the season.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, he just has to, you know, just keep repeating that. I mean, he's got all the skills. I don't think there's any question about that. And it's just a matter of just honing that racecraft and the like. But you know, I think the kid's got a great future, and it was just fun to see him right up at the sharp end of things, fighting like crazy.
And he's getting after it right now and jumping the curbs around here. I wanted to point out something that is different from the last time we were here at Sebring, at least in the last couple of months. Now, I got to find the right shot, but one of the things that iRacing has done, you can see it here, those curbs now, at least the ripple curbing, they actually have 3 dimensions to them as far as the individual ripples they've got. What that means is that they offer a lot more feedback in the steering wheel, but they can also cause some damage. You can scrape the undersides of the cars on those if you get over the edge and kind of drop the car onto the curbs. They are a lot gnarlier than they were before, especially at the exit right here. There's a great shot of those ripples there, Greg.
Oh, wow.
So they will definitely eat the underside of your car. And in these Miatas, the thing that you're worried about mostly in iRacing is hitting the oil pan on those if you run out too wide.
And that's all, I mean, iRacing just continues this push to continue to make things more and more realistic. Boy, Deacon Greenfield involved there. I think Gilliland was involved as well. Boy, that just came out of nowhere. And just to make, I was going to say, we had our top 4 covered by literally 2 1,000ths of a second. Then Morgan Burkhardt went and ruined it and decided to go a whopping 6 1,000ths of a second quicker than Hibbett.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a battle that we've been following ever since really Camden joined that team. They were firing off each other at the tail end of last season, the beginning of this season, back at Homestead, Miami. They were, banging doors and beating fenders, and it's been fun to watch those two up at the front. But Nicholas Rice-Budo certainly has found his stride, and Joshua Soto, with the momentum he has coming out of Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, that is going to light a fire under his butt, isn't it, coming into Sebring International Raceway?
Oh, I think absolutely. And, the other guy that we haven't seen in a while is Rowan Gill. And Rowan ends up, I think, 6th in the qualifying run. And we also have Wanshi Lin is back as well. So 2 guys that we know are very quick. It's going to make for some interesting racing today. The season regulars, they got some interlopers here that have pace.
Yeah, and Wanshi is one that you bring up that I don't think we've really seen his true pace just yet. He's had a lot of bad luck, and I think he'd like to turn that around. He'll start in 9th place here at the beginning of this race. We don't have a long pace lap here, so we might as well get rolling with the starting grid here, Greg. Front row, Morgan Burkhardt and Camden Hibbett. They're going to once again be fighting door to door, aren't they?
They are dueling, as they have been for quite some time here. We take a look now at the next row. Starting 3rd in the 0-3 is defending champ Nicholas Rice-Budo and Josh Soto, coming off a big weekend in his number 77 in Mid-Ohio.
Row 3, Olivier Piatek in the 62, and Rowan Gill, you pointed him out, Greg, returning to this championship. He rolls off 6th.
Yeah, right on form, too, isn't he? And also coming back, the 110, Giancarlo Schooler starts 7th. Beans Forrester will start 8th in the number 23.
And 9th place, Wanshi Lin in the 68, aforementioned, still looking for a top 5 at a podium. Deacon Greenfield continues his qualifying success, looking to find another top 5 here in that number 20 tonight.
And then starting in the 11th spot, Jorge Ortiz, who is very quick as well at Mid-Ohio in the 311. And Andrew Wozencroft, who has been on form as of late, starts 12th in his number 80.
And 13th place, Hayden Mattis in the 65, and Max Schweid in the 98 rolls off on the outside of row 7.
Starting in the 15th spot, Andrew Gilliland, the number 91, of course, caught up in that incident, and Gareth Nyland will start 16th in the 136.
And 17th, it's Alex McClellan in the 44, and Dean Dibdahl 4th in the championship standings. A phenomenal start to the year, trying to work his way up through the field tonight. 18th place to start race 1.
Wow, he's got work to do, doesn't he? Starting in the 19th spot, the 042 of Seth Spolman, and rounding out our top 20, the number 1, the Barbie car of Jose De Las Casas.
And Jim Friedhofer starts 21st in the 89, Andrew Guada 22nd in this number 61.
Starting 23rd, the 901 of Joshua Clatterbuck, and starting 24th, Mr. Full Send Sims himself, Court Schmidt, tonight running the number 33.
Rich Green starts 25th in the 22 car, Wayne Buttermore, and then rounded out the rest of the field, Sawyer Richards and Grant Jackson in your 28 car field here tonight. Pace car is going to roll off. The start line is kind of a zone here tonight. There's not actually even a painted line.
Exactly.
One of the quirks of this being the club course here, Greg, but it's time to go racing in round 4 of the Full Send Sim Spec Miata series.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Long course, short course, it's 20 minutes, and we are getting ready to go, and we're green. And look at that move immediately by Nicholas Rice-Budo, just trying to thread the needle. He's up on the outside shoulder of Morgan Burkhardt as they work through. Finally has to settle back in, reabreast a little bit farther in the back. Ooh, a little wobble there, minor touch. Everybody so far making it work. Wanshi Lin way down to the inside. Another squeeze play, and Wozencroft gets shoved off track.
Yeah, that was a big squeeze there. There's still 3 wide, and someone gets clobbered. It's Alex McClellan. He goes wide at the exit at Tower Turn. Court Schmidt is slow, and some others go wandering off course there for a moment, but I think most will pull away with fairly minor damage. I think Court's got some pretty big rear end damage, though.
Yeah, there was somebody there that made an absolutely amazing evasive move. I couldn't quite grab the number, but up front it settles in right away. Burkhardt, Rice-Puto, and Hibbett. And it's interesting for Nicholas Rice-Puto. We've seen him, Kyle, generally be Mr. Consistency, works on scoring points, will get the win when he can. As Beans Forrester makes a big lunge and there's a big defense, but Beans has the move done and gets to the inside. But whoever that's on the outside is that's Ortiz, and he is not going quietly. What a scrap these guys are in already, and Ortiz looks like he got a little freight train.
Yeah, got shuffled back a couple of positions, and side by side for the lead. Here comes Rice-Puto up the outside into Cunningham here. This is a hard line to hang on to, and the track's going to favor drivers right here in a minute unless Rice-Puto can pull clear of Burkhardt.
And he's going to get a little help from him, it looks like, giving Nicholas just a little bit of a shove, but now Burkhardt is going to have that inside line into Tower, and it's going to be interesting if Rice-Puto can stay on the outside, and he can sort of pinch Burkhardt. He can scrub some of Burkhardt's speed. Oh, now here's that big cutback. Everybody, boy, they are still side by side, Kyle. This is absolutely superb stuff.
For half a lap, they've stayed side by side. Rice-Puto would like to be no longer through turn 4 and a big push wide, and they're still door to door now out of the back straightaway. What a battle this is for the top spot.
Unbelievable. Burkhardt got way off of what would be the outside of 5 and just never lifted. And now I think it's going to go his way as Rice-Puto is going to get a little bit shoved out. But what I was going to say was we have seen Nicholas be kind of not super conservative, but really savvy, score points, get a win if he can. He's not doing that anymore. He has been aggressive from the drop of the green here.
He has, and I think he realized that driver's left isn't going to play. In many ways, this is very much like an oval. You got to stay to the inside all the way around. But a defensive line from Burkhardt, and look at off the outside. Where did Miata come from? He's gone.
Yeah, he came from, he went from, I think, 5th to 3rd there, and then drops right back into 4th, but he parked Soto in doing that. Watch this move.
He passed like 3 cars on the outside there, but that was mostly because he missed the braking point.
Exactly. What do they say? Fast in, slow out.
Yep.
And that is exactly what happened there. So he's going to have to regroup just a little bit, and is now stuck.
Soto!
And he gets straightened out. Oh boy, that could have saved him from some big contact. I think that was Ortiz once again. And that little tap from Ortiz after Soto got loosened up straightened him right out again.
Ortiz got the tire barriers, and that car is destroyed. I don't know that he'll be able to continue. Unfortunately, they just 3 into 1 does not go, and Ortiz kind of juked out to the right here to get alongside the 110, and then
that forced Giancarlo right into Soto. And then Ortiz straightened Soto out, but it was a big hit for him.
And
that
Schooler.
right front's pretty deranged, isn't it?
Schooler is off course at 7.
Oh, is he as well?
Yep. And see what happens to him here. Down into 7. Was there contact or? Just missed the corner and came to a stop and called it. So he must also have some damage.
Yeah, you can see that thing bouncing badly. Something broken on the front end. And look at this scrap, though. These top 3 starting to ease away with that big move by Soto and Piatek. When he came up there, kind of broke these guys clear a little bit. And they're up by about a second right now. Look at how fierce it is. Hibbett running wide. We're going to see this all night long.
Yeah, Rice-Puto tucking in line. He's solidly a second-place car. He showed speed that he can go to the lead, but he's got to get to the driver's right of Morgan Burkhardt, and Morgan is just going to protect that at every chance he's got. And I don't think it helps that Hibbett is kind of playing along with Burkhardt in such a way that's keeping Rice-Puto from making a decisive move.
Well, Piatek is quickly reeling these guys in, too. He's been driving he had that aggressive move, but now he's been driving really smooth lines while they've been bouncing around going off track, and he's coming after him. And Rowan Gill not that far back either. Look at that, Gill, Forrester. We've got ourselves a 6-car battle for the lead, Kyle.
Yeah, Rowan is just driving off into the corner really hard, but he's managed to slow the car down and get it stopped without running off course just yet. He's looked actually quite patient. He was a little bit like a tornado in previous seasons. He was just a wild one to watch, and he would make time with it, but at the same time, he don't find himself in a path of destruction also, but now looking very calm, cool, and collected running P5.
And I wonder if, one, obviously he's figured it out just a little bit. Is that working around on?
That's Court Schmidt, I believe.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, sorry. No, you're right. I think it was Giancarlo.
He's trying to limp it home, I think. Yeah, he's got big issues. But, yeah, I mean, obviously Gil has calmed it down a little bit, but I also wonder if these extraordinary hot track temps, everybody is realizing a little bit. He's up to 131 right now.
Like your steak medium rare, Greg, because you can cook it on the pavement right now.
Exactly right. And you got to, save things a little bit here. You can see Rice Pudo going big defensive on Hibbett, who obviously does not want to see Morgan drive away. Hibbett's going to go deep down the inside here, gets that made in it. Piatek thinking about squeezing through, has that nose to the inside. There's a touch, and immediately he gives it back a little bit.
Yeah, I think Rice Pudo squeezed him onto the grass there just a touch. The defense is already, I mean, the elbows are out here early because as soon as someone gets to your inside, it's kind of game over. There's a couple left-hand turns here, but none of them really long and flowing enough to complete a pass. I think you got to make it on the right at Cunningham, at the hairpin, or at turn 1. And I think quickly, Rice Pudo has caught on to that.
I think so too, and I'll tell you, Deacon Greenfield, right there in the back of that shot, he is driven away from Max Schweid, Wan Chi-Lin, and Soto, and is putting himself in a position for another really solid run here.
Yeah, running pretty decent lap times. His fastest lap is co-requisite with all of the top 5, basically, so I think he's absolutely capable of running up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Need a little bit more to run them down, I think, but he has definitely separated himself from the pack behind, as you pointed out.
Yeah, and Rowan Gill currently has quickest lap, but it's by so little. Essentially everybody's running, and in a pack you expect that everybody's going to be running similar times. But Burkhardt just doing everything he can here to try and break Hibbett, and not quite able to shake him. He's got him at about a half second, but then Hibbett just comes right back at him here. This is going to be, I think, an absolutely fascinating study. And this group here, now we see Forrester dropping off just a smidge at the back.
Yeah, and one of the other things to note is
that's not.
That's Greenfield that's right behind. He's actually closing in now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But the point I was going to make is the maximum velocity you're going to see here at this track, at least on the front straightaway where you head off into Cunningham, it was only about 102 miles an hour. You're not really getting a big effect from a draft there. So your only real slipstream opportunity is running down to the hairpin, and even that, we're not topping these cars out. So you're not going to have that long planning strategy of drafting up to someone and slingshotting by. You've got to get better exits and build that run earlier rather than relying on that slipstream to pull you in.
Yeah, and keep in mind here, that car behind Forrester, I think that's Giancarlo Sculler, who's a lap down now. And so he's out of position. There he is. And, there he is. And then behind him is Greenfield. So Giancarlo, been a rough day for him already. And there's Deacon. Whoa! That's the number 65 of Hayden Manis. And, Jose De Las Casas involved in that as well. Looked like Hayden's car was broken.
Let's see what happens here. Little lunge from Jose De Las Casas, and they get together there and go for a ride.
Oh, man, that was a big side swipe. Jose's got some pretty serious wrinklage on the back of the car, if that's a word. And look at this. Hibbett now all over the back of Burkhardt. Rice Pudo's coming with him.
But he's not letting him get away. And as we said, there's no draft keeping him in touch. Was able to drive up to Morgan Burkhardt and catch him the old-fashioned way. Now can you outsmart him and figure out a way to pass? That's the next question. And Rice Pudo wasn't able to do it, but this is the first time Hibbett and Burkhardt have been 1v1 since the start.
Well, and you make a good point. We have seen, obviously, Morgan's pretty savvy, and he is going to protect that inside like mad. And I was going to ask you, that cut it through that they just turned into, that 90 they call it, that's relatively low grip compared to every place else out here, I would think.
Yeah, now there is a factor to consider that iRacing has also recently implemented what they call a surface polish model. And what that means is that areas that cars run on a lot will have the pavement will actually be a bit smoother because the aggregate isn't as worn down. Now, I imagine on a cut through that isn't used very much, that aggregate would still be a little fresher, although Sebring, everything's kind of 80 years old anyway, so who really knows? But
exactly.
It's definitely bumpy. It definitely has big curves, and it's narrow as well. So even if it was grippy, you're still shooting a pretty tight shot there. Look at Rice Pudo pull up alongside Hibbett.
Yeah, he got that inside. You can see Camden look over. and didn't fight him, which is smart. Just let him through and then tucks right in behind him. And maybe now Rice Budo and Camden can get after it, but that little exchange has brought Gill, who's now up into fourth. Well, he has quietly been very, very effective today. Fast lap, and is coming after these guys with Piatek, Forrester behind him. And then that gap now to Greenfield's kind of lost touch with these guys. And but he's got a nice, comfortable gap back to Schweid, Lind, and Gilliland up into another top 10. Boy, he is having a good run here.
Yeah, he really is. He's having a nice race, and he's actually hounding Wan Shi Lin and Max Schweid for 8th place. So he's got a couple in the crosshairs here. We'll see if he can take a shot, but he's definitely quicker. The last few laps, he was 2 to 4 tenths quicker than the two ahead of him.
Yeah, he's doing really well. And we saw. I'm kind of curious to see Dean Dibdahl is up to 11th, and I know he started fairly far back, so he's having a really good race. Unfortunately, he's just down the order quite a bit.
Yeah, I think he started 18th. Look at this, side by side into the hairpin, and a long way around for Wan Shi Lin. Contact, and Schweid gets turned and avoids the barriers by maybe 5 feet.
And it comes up and didn't even lose the spot to Gilliland.
Holy cow.
That was a heck of a save. Oh, and then there's a touch there.
Here's Dibdahl.
Boy, here's Dibdahl coming up, and he has come from a long ways back. What a drive Dean Dibdahl is putting on. 18th
to 10th, and still about 6 or 7 laps to go. Let's have a look at that collision leaving the hairpin here from high above. Watch the blue car. Well, I guess they're both blue, but the lighter blue car. He's going to make some contact here with Wan Shi Lin. He's going to get turned off the nose of Gilliland. No, yeah, just a little bit, but oh my gosh, how lucky did he get there?
Yeah, huge save, gathers it up and doesn't even lose that next spot. Pretty fortunate there, obviously, but a great save. And I mean, sometimes things happen. You better be able to deal with it here. And looks like Cord Schmidt fighting his way up. It's just weird to see that, the number 33 for Cord. But he's fighting his way up through the pack here. And up to 19th right now.
That's Rich Green right ahead of him, and they've been having a nice little scrap here. Ooh, a little physical there, and Rich Green's going to go for a spin.
Yeah, Cord got too much of that curb, and it just launched him right into Rich Green, unfortunately.
Back up to
look at
the
this
4th.
Now. Piatek all over the back of Gill in that battle for 4th.
They've lost a bit of time, about 8 tenths of a second, up to the lead battle of 3, which is Burkhard, Rice, Budo, and Hibbett. And something tells me as soon as these cars get side by side, it'll drag Gill and Piatek right back into the mix. And then, of course, Forster is right there as well. Greenfield's fallen off a touch, but still within striking distance if there's a spin.
Well, and you know, Forster's getting a little help because he's getting a little bit of a push from Giancarlo Schooler. Oh, as Rice Budo drops all 4 and just keeps it pinned and really doesn't lose a thing here. Giancarlo Schooler is right behind Forster. I've seen him giving him the old chrome horn to help him along a little bit on occasion. Now Forster's gapped him just a bit. Boy, this has flown by. We're coming up on 5.5 minutes to go here, Kyle. It's flown by.
Yeah, again, the battle, it started early, but I don't know that we've really seen Rice Budo take his second launch yet. I think he knows with 5 minutes this is too soon. If you watch the Indy 500 on Sunday, you'll know that sometimes you got to wait till the very, very last opportunity because someone will get you right back if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all in the timing. Yeah, we've seen this play out before. You go too soon, and the guy who's third comes rifling up and through. But look at Burkhard Protect. And he knows the score here. Don't open up that inside. But every time he goes to that, paints a car width to the right, going into these right-handers, he's tightening up that exit, the radius through the corner, and that hurts your tires.
It does, and the other thing is he's protecting in the middle of the racetrack. He's not driving all the way to the right because it would just be probably too extreme. But there is a car width to the inside if someone who's very aggressive wants to take a move down there and really get aggressive with it. There's an opportunity there. But you have to be fully committed and be ready to get pinched off into the corner because once you commit to your line, there's no expectation anyone has to move for you.
Yeah, exactly right. And boy, these three now, they've made the break. It's over a 1.25 seconds back to Gill right now with 4 minutes 30 to go. And is that little drop out by Burkhardt there?
Yeah, just a minor one. I think
Whoa!
it'll be all right. But look at him all over Nicholas Rice-Puto, rubbing the bumper stickers off that 0-3.
Yeah, he was, and of concern was they were turning at the time, and it's so easy to turn somebody when you're doing that. They got away with it on this one, and now Hibbett, for a second I thought he might try the late move down to the inside, but 4 minutes to go, line astern, everybody's just trying to figure out where, we got traffic coming up in front too.
And can you be
Just saw
third
that other car
on the last lap, or do you have to be second?
I don't know. I mean, the only way I think third works is if the two guys in front hit each other.
Well, that's
the
likely.
Short track. It is. Well, that's a good point. So maybe that is your spot. But the concern is if you're third and the two guys in front tangle, you get caught up in it if you're right where Hibbett is right now. So it's Hibbett.
Wow.
What a move. Got to the inside, but and a tap there. I wonder if these little taps are just he's trying to unnerve Rice-Puto a little bit.
Yeah, but just with that one little attempt, it built 0.6 of an advantage for Morgan Burkhardt. So I think Hibbett's got to be careful that any move that he makes that isn't decisive is going to just cost them time. And this is the age-old battle against Morgan Burkhardt. If you give him a quarter of a lap where he just has to worry about offense and not defense, he will drive away, as we're seeing him try to do right now with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the board.
Absolutely, and the other side of the coin is it's bringing Gill and Piatek up onto the back end of Hibbett as well. So he's going to have to be, also thinking slightly defensively here, possibly in short order, as we're at 2.5 minutes to go.
And so it should be 2 laps to go next time by, because the laps are about 1 minute and 20 seconds. And Rice-Puto has caught back up to Burkhardt now. Still a couple of car lengths, but it was about 5 or 6. I wonder if Rice-Puto has been kind of testing and planning and seeing where Morgan is at a disadvantage. Certainly Rice-Puto is struggling there.
Off. And here comes Hibbett. That was all it took. Hibbett's to the inside.
There's contact.
Now is going to try and float in at a lot of speed. Hibbett, that worked. And here comes Gill. Gill watching what was going on here, and they've already lost a second now to Burkhardt. And Gill, I think, is thinking, I could do something with this. Rice-Puto defending mightily. Gill pops to the other side here. Now a huge late move to the inside. Can he get it stopped? He cannot. And Rice-Puto dives through. And Gill's still going to hang on to second, maybe, as here comes, Hibbett with Piatek on his 6th.
Wow, they lit the fuse on that battle, didn't they? It's like a hand grenade bouncing around there for a moment. Everyone hot potatoing second spot, and Rice-Puto will cling to it. He has been like a magnet to the front of Hibbett's car. They have not been able to get separated apart. They have 2 laps to go, and Burkhardt is driven away.
Yep, and at one moment there by Rowan Gill, it looked impressive for a second, but it actually, in the end, cost him a spot, as he is now behind Piatek. And I didn't catch who that lap car was, but that was a classy move. Getting out of the way, now Hibbett trying the outside. Rice-Puto defends. Hibbett's going to try and get down. He's got a little bit of overlap heading into the turn. What's going to happen here? He's there, but unfortunately, you got that bothersome little bend to the left there. And
bothersome bend. We'll add that to the track map.
There you go. Now he's got to deal with it at this point, but he's still there, isn't he?
Yeah, but where do you go? I mean, he's going to be outside at turn 7 or the hairpin here, so that's a tough line to hang on to.
He's going to try and park it around the outside if he can make it work.
Yes.
Whoa, he got a great run. And that was exactly what we were talking about. He just squeezed Rice-Puto, and Rice-Puto just couldn't roll the speed through. And then a big side bang there from Rowan Gill. Well, the Rowan Gill of old has shown up.
Yeah, it's getting physical back here between these two.
Sure is.
And it certainly it's not working out for Rice-Puto, and he's got damage. He's going to stop the car, because the race is over. That's how fast the last lap happened.
Holy cow.
So caught up in where we were going and what was going on. Man, that last lap happened quick, didn't it?
It sure as hell did. And Burkhardt, after a 6-car battle for the lead for most of the race, gets it by 1.8 seconds. And it was all because that war broke out behind him.
Yeah, that was a wild one. It would help if they had an actual start-finish line. There is a flagger over there, but he's so far off track that you can't even see it in the camera shot. But either way, Burkhardt, Hibbett, Piatek, Gill, let's get your results up for the moment while we can show them to you before they disappear on us. But, wow, it got really physical there at the end, and I think we can expect more of that in race 2.
I think so. Usually the second race is a little bit more intense here. I just watched Jose de las Casas and Alex McClellan having a great battle right to the line as well. So, wow. Absolutely insane racing, and kind of expected that. This place always seems to produce that level of intensity here. Hey, Kyle, we were talking at the top of the show about Farah coming on board as a Tier 2 sponsor. Obviously, Kurt Schmidt continues to push hard to grow this series. He's brought Farah on board. I gave a little bit of a spiel about Farah, but let's hear a little bit more. They put together a nice little video that kind of tells the story, too.
Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway to the second round of the new Farah USA Championship Series. And this series is taking it to a brand new level. Whatever kind of racing you might be interested in terms of road racing, Farah provides it. Do you like Formula car racing? Well, we have Formula Farah. That's for the young guns coming out of karting that might well become the future in a few years of open wheel racing in the United States, maybe even globally. A massive field of GT cars. Racing is absolutely fabulous. And here's the start for the GT cars. And a good field of prototypes as well. And if you like multi-class sports car racing where it is non-stop passing, Farah is doing it. The prototypes have picked up the green. We are racing. Over 30 Pro Spec Miatas here for this second round of 2024. We're green, we're flying, Pro Spec Miata, very even start. If you want to come and watch it, you can get in free. That's FARA, the Formula and Auto Racing Association. To many, it's the Fans Auto Racing Association.
Well, what a spectacular promo that was, Greg, and all sorts of great racing you can watch. And wow, that was cool. Get to see all the action for free down there during a Far race weekend. So really neat stuff. And again, big thanks to them for coming on board and helping out.
Yeah, they're great. They're in their second year under the new ownership with Jose and David Tuati and Todd Burris, who raced at Mid-Ohio with you guys. And they've just done an absolutely great job in elevating Farah and really have stated a new mission of growth. And, this year they've expanded 3 races at Sebring. Historically, they've always been at Homestead. Next year, David Tuati told me they're looking to actually leave the state of Florida, perhaps.
Ooh. So
maybe Road Atlanta, maybe VIR, maybe Barber, who knows? But they are continuing to expand. And I think it's a great dynamic for them to get on board with this, especially with how spectacularly quick their Pro Spec Miata series has blown up. And, Mazda Motorsports is on board, and a couple of Mazda dealerships are providing some pretty significant money and some great contingency sponsors. So that Pro Spec Miata thing's catching on, man.
Yeah, really exciting stuff to see. And as exciting as what we saw in race 1 here for the Full Send Sim Z Sport Spec Miata series, Greg. Physical, hands-on, elbows out, kind of what we expected. But as you pointed out at the tail end of race 1, race 2 is typically when we see people really get up on the wheels. So points on the line for the last time tonight, the next 20 minutes coming up here shortly. who survives the melee this time around.
Well, exactly. And the guy who I think maybe salvaged something was Dean Divdahl after that problem in qualifying, where he ended up coming through. Big help for him. But Josh Soto and Nicholas Rice-Puto both, running, having problems and dropping back a little bit. And Morgan Burkhardt, who comes in this weekend 7 points back, has an opportunity to gain a little bit here. And the pickle socks are on display here for Beans Forrester.
Like it, and he's always a fun one to watch. I love that you can see out the left window as well with this triple screen setup. I love the pedal cam so you can watch the heel toe down shifting. It's really neat because in the heat of battle you can really see what's going on right out the driver's side window there. And part of a full send sim or any simulator that's got these triple screen setups, it gives you that field of vision that you would have behind the wheel. Of course, virtual reality really puts you in the car, but in the world of which you can't be in VR, which is my world generally, triple screens are the way to go for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just really gives you that feel. And hey, one thing I don't want to forget to mention here is our next event where we'll be racing next Tuesday night, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, that full course, I think one of the greatest tracks going, period. And if you're not familiar with it and you want to get a little bit of time on that track or just hone your craft a little bit, this Thursday night, there will be a group practice starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, hosted by Full Send Sim. So you can get yourself a little bit of additional track time in advance of our big race there on Tuesday night.
Great program that they run there. And, of course, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, that is one of the best road courses in North America. Probably one of the best ones in the world. But, again, I'm biased. There's a lot of great racetracks on the planet, but the ones in North America tend to be up there for sure, and Road Atlanta is one of those. Watkins Glen's up there for me, Road America, Lime Rock Park. We are spoiled here, aren't we, Greg?
Oh, we are. And one of the reasons is they're not that banal, massive paved runoff stuff that you tend to see globally. They are tracks where consequence still occurs, and you've got to be able to suck it up, compartmentalize, and go. And Road Atlanta, in that regard, is probably one of the most brutal on the mind of a racer because it's constantly changing direction, and it's stupidly fast. And, oh, man, it's just awesome.
Here we go. We'll be getting a green any moment here, Greg.
All right. Not sure. And there it is. We are green. Burkhardt getting the jump. Piatek trying to go with him and freeze Hibbett up on the outside here. And Rice-Puto going to stick in as best he can. Ooh, somebody off there. And a couple of cars getting turned around as well. Wozencroft, one of them there. Could catch a couple of those others, but man, the banging has started early.
It has, and we'll get a look at that a bit later tonight. But they're trying 4 wide down at Tower Turn. Wow. That is not going to work. The math does not favor that outcome. And they're still side by side here for 4th place. Gill and Rice-Puto. They were leaning on each other before. Big slide for Gill out of that next corner, and that was almost a spin for the 174.
Yeah, it was, and I kind of thought that Beans might be able to do something, but the recovery by Gill, oh, what a big side slide, and it got away from him, and was that Wan Chi? Oh, no, and the 136 involved as well.
Friedhofer's up on his side.
Oh, man.
That
was huge.
I'd say so. Let's have a look at how he got involved. Oh, he got tripped up and over. Wow, he tumbled end over end there for a moment. Gosh.
That was just exceptional.
Well, back up front. Here we go.
Oh, man, here we go. Hibbett has gone to the point. Burkhardt now in the hunter's position here, if you will. Piatek, then a little gap to Rice-Puto, Gill, Forrester.
Yeah, so Gill and Rice-Puto, they have occupied themselves with each other for some time.
Yes, they have.
And it has allowed Hibbett to get around Burkhardt, and now Piatek is in a position to pounce. Like the look of this 62, but something tells me that 132 and 40, those are two of the best cars. I have to say that I think Rice-Puto is as fast as Morgan Burkhardt, but he just wasn't able to position his car in a place that allowed him to get by Burkhardt in race 1. I think it just came down to the racecraft, not necessarily the pace.
I agree. Had he been able to get overlap on that inside, we may have seen something different unfold. And right now, Rice-Puto has just got to just put his head down, just stay with these guys and get after it. And the interesting thing that could affect, to me, this dynamic here, in this race, Ortiz, who we know can be very fast, is in 7th. Greenfield's having a good day. Soto is in 9th. We know the speed he has. And Dibdahl has shown great pace today. So if anything, anybody bobbles up front here, we could have a real scrum unfolding here in a hurry.
Yeah, I think Soto will be disappointed with the race 1 result after coming out of Mid-Ohio with a win. But
yeah,
he's in the top 10 here in race 2, and working his way forward. He's got some pressure from behind rather than applying pressure to the front. But really, if he can just stitch some good points rounds together, he'll be in contention for a podium on the season, especially if he can repeat his success he had a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely. We know he's fast. We've always seen him with that great speed. Oh, Rosencroft, a problem there. He got caught up in that incident earlier. He's got damage, and that was a nice move. Just get out of the way. His car's not quite right.
Yeah,
I think that's the 136 at Nyland, too, that was caught up in that.
Yeah, they're both a lap down, and it's tough to get out of the way here because of how tight this is. And the pit lane's in a funky spot, too. Honestly, I'll be completely honest. I don't even know how you get to pit lane here. I've never seen it done. So, I'm sure there's some drivers that got a little lost just trying to figure out where to go get repairs done. But,
I would think so. Yeah, right after you go through the right, and then before you get into the left of the Fangio curves, that's where that pit entry is. So we'll see it coming up here as they come out of the hairpin. And Hibbett's starting to open up a little bit of a gap. So here's that bend. And now as you would feint back to the left, you're going to see the pit end right there. Yep. And it's not really clear.
No, it dives so far off to the right that I think you could get yourself lost. And where the exit pops you out over here.
Yeah.
So
it's bizarre, no question.
I think if you're an IndyCar team, you'd know all about that section of the racetrack.
I would think so. Yeah, exactly. And again, we have our 6 cars. As we started off the last race, we start this one off similarly here with the 6 cars. Then about a 3-second gap back to Ortiz, and another fabulous battle. Ortiz, Soto, Greenfield, Dibdahl, Gilliland, all covered by the proverbial blanket. But there they are, having a really good scrap.
There's not a lot that you can relate this track to Lime Rock Park, but I'm going to relate it for one reason, because it is a primarily clockwise circuit where you only really get one good passing opportunity, and that's down here into the hairpin. And the same is true at Lime Rock Park. You can force it in a couple places, as you can here, but really everyone's fighting for the overtake into the hairpin, effectively. And the rest of the lap is just setting up for those few opportunities that you get. So while it doesn't have the elevation, nor is it in as quaint of a place, but it definitely has some characteristics of racing at Lime Rock.
I think you bring up a really good point there, because you've got, as you said, this one big overtaking area into 7. Pretty much every other overtake is kind of based on somebody in front of you that you're trying to pass making a mistake.
Or than
it doesn't
giving
have
up
to
the
be
spot.
huge, but enough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you can make a pass down here into the turn back to the turn 4 and 5 area, but I think someone's got to concede. We did see some side-by-side running earlier between Burkhardt and Rice-Spudo, but it took a lot of effort to do that, and they were both going pretty slow.
And I think you could, if you get a proper run, but again, it probably means the guy in front of you has to have a little bit of a mistake coming somewhere, turn 10, Cunningham corner, it's about a 100-degree corner, and if you get it done right, but it's so easy to protect going into that makes it really difficult. But does Burkhardt have a look here? No. He decides, nope, I'm going to give my buddy Hibbett a little bit of a tap, see if we can break Piatek, Rice-Spudo and all.
I think one of the other things that makes this interesting is, we talked about how there's not really a lot of draft here. You can't really wait until the end to make a move, but at the same time, I think if you really get aggressive, you can force a pass to happen pretty quickly. So I don't know that Morgan's going to want to sit back here until the last lap, but I don't think you want to go too early because, as we've seen with Rice-Spudo and Gill, when the elbows get out and wide, things can get pretty spicy.
No, it can. Absolutely. And, so it's sort of this is very cat and mouse, isn't it? It's just, all right, I can go early, but then I can get roughed up. And, exactly what do you do here? We're going to hop on board with Beats here. Watch that footwork. Oh, I love that. Down a couple of gears, heel and toe. Racing the way it was meant to be done.
I'm watching his upshifts, too, to see if he's even lifting off the throttle. Might just be power shifting it, stabbing the clutch in just to. Well, he's lifting a little bit, but you know, if you're looking for that extra quarter of a second around a lap like this, you can power shift the car. The transmission won't hate you for that. It will get you on downshifts though, so you have to behave on the way down.
Look at this. This is even closer than we had in that first race, Kyle. This group of 6.
Yeah, a lot of Mazda banners being read over the over the windshields and roofs there.
Exactly. Well, you know, and we've talked about that before, but think about it. Beans Forster right now is driving through his own windshield and 5 more. You know, it's just incredible how close this racing is.
There's 5 cars ahead of him there. You can't see until you get to the corner.
I know, it's crazy. And, you know, that when that first car brakes, everybody has to adjust their braking point so they don't slam into the guy in front. And that's a lot easier said than done, that's for sure.
But I think that's what breeds the opportunity to pass from second on back, is everyone maintaining their position in this line. You see the checkups that happen, and if someone's willing to take a run down the inside, you can seize that opportunity and drive by 3 or 4 cars in one go. You just have to make sure that they can't read that before they go defensive on you.
Well, exactly, and you also, as we saw Rowan Gill give that one heck of a try in that first race, you also have to get the car stopped and turned. And otherwise, they're just going to turn underneath you like they did. So it's all, you know, I mean, it's a true balancing act, as everything is in racing. But, you know, you come steaming up the inside. 1, you're on the dirtier side of the track. And 2, you're offline. You got to tighten. You know, you got to think about that. Your entry into that turn is going to be a lot tighter. So you got to get rid of more speed. I mean, there's all these things that have to come into play for you to make that lunge, get it rotated on the nose, and come out and not have everybody just dive underneath you.
Everyone's playing the game right now, aren't they? Single file.
I love this.
And I think, keep an eye on Ortiz and Soto, 7th and 8th. They're actually running lap times a touch quicker than the leaders. A 119.6 for Ortiz, a 119.8 for Hibbett and Burkhardt. So they are making up time. They're still 3.5 seconds back. But if the leaders keep running this 7th and 8th place car could get up into that front 6 battle.
It's all going to come down to when that battling starts at the front. If it happens at a point where there's enough time for those guys to get there. So we're already past halfway point. So time is ebbing away for Ortiz, Soto, Greenfield, and Dibdahl at this point, and Gilliland, and Manis. That's how close that battle is.
So in race 1,
what's happening here? Here comes Gill. He tried it before. He's going to try it again. This time, gets it stopped, picks up a spot, gets through on Rice Pudo. But look at that little gap that's been created now.
Wanted to see if we can get a look inside the brake rotors of those cars glowing. It's a really hot day, but also the braking zones here are very heavy. You don't get a lot of straightaway to cool them off either. So they're definitely leaning on the brakes to get them to glow in the middle of the day. Oh, engine is it Gill?
That was Rowan Gill, you bet. Missed the shift. Right after making a great pass, tried it again, and the engine said sayonara. Oh, my goodness.
Gosh, that is so frustrating. I think that's taken him out more times than anything else has. Just that downshift. Whoop, trouble in the background. Rice Pudo and Beans Forster getting elbows out.
I don't know whether they touched or whether Rice Pudo, they touched. Look at the wrinkle on the back of Rice Pudo's car. I thought for a moment maybe he just ran wide, did a little tank slapper over that curb, but I think there was a touch.
And then there were 3.
But, just that quick, man. It's unbelievable. And, you know, the one thing that I think has changed a little bit with Camden, and boy, I sure hope I'm not giving him the announcer's curse here, but a couple of times last year, he was able to outduel Burkhardt from the front. And, you know, I think that might give him the confidence to say, I can do this here. And Burkhardt, you know, when he's chasing, he is relentless. And we've seen it. He has no problem being aggressive and doing a little rubbing.
Yeah, he's currently choosing to run second, and Hibbett's not defending, and I think there's some teamwork involved with this, both PRG cars, but you know, as soon as Piatek gets antsy, I think is your question.
Exactly.
Because as soon as Piatek starts to move on Burkhardt, Morgan's not going to sit there and end up 3rd, because then they don't control the race at all, because they've got Piatek in there who's not willing to play the game. and that messes up their strategy.
And, you know, Piatek is another guy that doesn't have any qualms about mixing it up. He's the king of the starts. We've seen him make some absolutely stunning starts, and he has been known to sort of give it that full send. See what I did there? As well in the middle of the races, too, so we'll see what he does.
Does have to keep pace with the front two, and they put a pretty good sector in and build a gap on him here. Just a little one, but and as soon as they battle, that gap will be gone. See if Morgan learned from the rearview mirror last time. If Piatek gets there, is it worth just letting him have the spot if he takes a lunge instead of racing side by side and giving up all opportunity to go for the win?
That's a really good point. As you go side by side, you know, it worked in that first race because those guys were battling for the lead and nobody could get by them because they were side by side, and it didn't hurt them. But you do that here, and you know, that momentum gets strained. Piatek is going to attack. You know that.
Yeah,
6.5 to go, Kyle.
Yeah, I think Morgan is plotting and planning here. We're going to be
I think so.
Probably 5 to go next time by. Hopefully this one won't sneak up on us so quick.
Yeah,
We're watching the timer like a hawk because these laps are also pretty short. We're used to having laps that are closer to the 2-minute bracket because we're typically running tracks that are a couple miles in length.
On that last lap, Pudo and Forster, both were quicker than the 3 leaders, and Soto was quicker than anybody, but he's such a long ways back. That's going to be his problem.
Yeah, 3.3 seconds back from Forster is Soto, and then here's Dean Dibdahl and Greenfield and Andrew Gillen battling for top 10 spots, all having pretty good days, but this track creates a different kind of racing than we've seen thus far. Again, more similar to something we'll see at Lime Rock Park versus what we saw at VIR and Homestead.
What are we looking at track temps right now? Ooh, Deacon thinking about a move there.
135.
135, holy cow.
We're getting into well done
Big
territory.
lunge here by Manis.
Gosh.
Wow, that was close.
And we're definitely getting into well done steak territory here. I think if you leave it out there too long.
No kidding. And you know, the temperatures, you know, they do take a toll on tires. And again, Deacon thinking about it, but he just isn't close enough to Dibdahl. Meanwhile, up front, 5 to go.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the temperatures and the tires here. You're using a lot of the mechanical grip of the tire. You know, there's a lot of tracks. Think of places like Watkins Glen. You put a ton of load on them in the corners, but there's also a lot of time where you're just spinning them up at high speed in a straight line. They can cool off. You know, a lot of the corners are big sweepers where you're not really loading the tire up all that much. Here, this is like an autocross. You're sliding the tire across the surface.
Absolutely.
Heavy braking loads, heavy acceleration loads. So this is about as much as you're going to work a tire here. And with the temperatures this hot, I mean, this is blisteringly hot here. So yeah, it's going to get greasy and slippery for sure. Here comes
Here we
Burkhardt.
go! Slicing down to the inside. Hibbett lets him go, turns in, protects on Piatek. Hibbett got a nice actual run in doing that. He got to the throttle a bit sooner than Burkhardt. Are we going to see something up here? This is what I was talking about, potentially up into Cunningham. Turn 10, look at the grid. Burkhardt sensed it, goes defensive, and Hibbett says no. Okay, maybe not.
That's the move I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Burkhardt is leaving a car width of a gap. I'm surprised Hibbett didn't take it here because that was a great opportunity. He was a bit far back, yes, but I don't think you're going to get a lot of stabs at this, even if you're Camden Hibbett. So, you know, you got to be, you know, selective, but also if you get a good enough run, you have to take it. I don't think you can afford to wait.
And guess who's right back in the mix? Pudo and Forster not that far back. Hibbett. That was a great, he sort of went and tried to sell Morgan a little bit of a dummy, and Morgan semi-bit on it, but he didn't leave enough room on the exit for Hibbett to knife through. And here comes Forster on Pudo.
Ooh, that was a battle there, and it's not done yet. And I think Piatek got into the back of Hibbett there through the corner. They all stacked up. There's some damage on the nose of the 62 now. I don't think it's significant enough to hurt him, but they definitely came together, accordion-type effect there.
Oh, look at this. Trying to get any kind of a draft, trying to come up with something. Pudo did not buy into that at all and drove that corner really, really well. But Piatek slipped back just a little bit, as has Hibbett. We are at 2:45 to go. And again, beats concentration here. And the problem is he's on that wrong side of the track.
Yeah, if you can maintain the overlap here, actually, he's going to clear the 0-3, but he's off course. You can get a cut course there if you're too far to the left. He did get it back on track, and I think he's got him cleared. That was a heck of a pass.
That was.
2 laps to go, Greg.
You could almost, you could almost sense him give a sigh of relief there when, because he ran off the track, but was able to park it. But here we go through that cut through, heading over to turn 4. Changes how this whole sequence is driven with that straight line, missing the turn 3. Now through Big Bend and heading toward the best overtaking area, but I think Hibbett, he's dropped back almost a half second.
Yeah, he's working really hard to maintain this half-second gap too. I think that opportunity he had that he kind of sat on down at Cunningham, I think that was an opportunity he probably should have taken. It would have been very aggressive, but you have to take the opportunities you get. Nice run out here out of the hairpin though, coming to the white.
Yeah, he closed it up a little bit, and we'll see what he's able to do here. And again, this is where whenever Morgan senses he didn't get the best run out as he flicks through the second left, the left part of the Fangio curves. Let's see what happens. He's pretty comfortable where he is, not defending at all.
This will be the last lap.
That curve pretty good though.
Yeah, Camden's going to have 1 lap. This is it, last lap here, so he's going to have about a mile to get this done. And he's got Morgan in the crosshairs here.
He does.
Got to get a lead on him, though, and take that shot. Little slip up there. Burkhardt missed the apex by a foot, and that was enough for Hibbett to get a decent run here. Is he going to take a dive?
Morgan certainly thinks so, and now, oh, you can hear Hibbett pick that throttle up. He is there. He's diving to the inside. Now that's going to put him on the outside here. He's trying to get Morgan off his rhythm, and you can see Hibbett a little bit straighter line out of turn 5. He is there. Watch what Morgan's going to do. He has got to defend here, and we've seen Hibbett get great runs out of this. If he can't get the pass done, oh, touch.
Breaking
Hibbett
duel.
is not giving it easy. This is it, Kyle. Huge breaking duel. He's going to try and stay to the outside. Couldn't do it.
Checkered flag. Here they come. I don't think Hibbett's got enough.
I don't think so. Up to the line, wherever it is. We're coming to it here so close.
Oh, it's going to be close.
Oh, he's to the inside. Oh, my goodness.
How about 54 thousandths of a second? I couldn't show you the line because there isn't one, but 54 thousandths of a second is the margin of victory there.
Man, what a race. And as those two were dueling, Forrester got on Piatek, and they dropped back, and they got in their own little duel. And it ended up... that one was a pretty close margin there, too, about 31 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, here's this last run to the stripe again. I'll try to show you where I think the start-finish line is, but see the flagman here in a moment. No, maybe not quite. It's right where that curb starts, so that's just about your margin there. I don't think that line is, but that is.
Incredibly close. Look at that. I mean, Hibbett gave it his all, didn't he?
Yeah, he tried to set it up every which way, but I think it just comes down to, I think being in the lead is the place to be here at Sebring. So Morgan Burkhardt picks up a pair of victories tonight. Hibbett second, and Piatek third, Forster, Rice-Budo fourth and fifth. Dean Dibdahl up to 8th. That was a pretty nice recovery after
it sure was.
2 top 10s after starting 18th tonight. Greg, I think he'll take that.
You bet. And I mean, coming in here tied for 4th in the points, he needed to stem the flow a little bit. And Kurt Schmidt sitting in 12th, started 20th, and he is having a really good run.
Yeah, I think they've already actually all taken the checker. They're just running around for fun now.
Yeah, they're just having fun.
So let's have a look at the race results.
Great.
Didn't want it to be over, did they?
Why would you? Look at that margin of victory. And then 31 1,000ths between Piatek and Forster. Just great racing.
Yeah, and then 74 thousandths between Hayden Manis and Dean Dibdahl for 7th. Did someone get disqualified? Why did Dean end up P7? Interesting.
That's a good question.
Wasn't he 8th a minute ago?
I thought he was.
Maybe not. Yeah, no, he was 8th. Who got knocked down the order? Rowan Gill's down, but he was already down. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not finding who it would have been here.
Interesting.
So,
but either way, Burkhardt picks up a pair. Hibbett, Piatek, Forster, Rice, Budo, your top 5. Joshua Soto, 6th place. That's a better run than I think he was set up for in race 1. So I'm sure he'll take that and add the points to the list.
Oh, I don't think there's any question of that. Yeah, and again, as you said, Dibdall with that great comeback run. How about Hayden Manis? That was a really impressive run for Hayden up into 8.
Yeah, Wan Chi Lin, remember he was involved in that crash at the beginning of the race. 9th, not bad, and a P10
Not
for Deacon
too bad.
Greenfield.
Yeah, fought his way back into it. Of course, mid-11th at the end there. Andrew Gilliland 12th. That was a great fight back by Court. Then Josh Clotterback and Jorge Ortiz. Was he the guy that he was up in that mix, and maybe he had a moment on that last lap.
That could have been.
Why everybody advanced, possibly.
Yeah. Alex McClellan, we saw Sawyer Richards, Grant Jackson involved in some early collisions, Gareth Nyland as well. And here's a list of drivers that would have liked a better day. Giancarlo Schooler, certainly. Max Schweitz, Seth Bowman, Jose de las Casas, and of course Rowan Gill. That transmission, man, wouldn't he like to race the ND Miata where you've got that mechanical sequential? A lot harder to mess that one up, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it was fun to have him back, and he was as fast as ever, racy as ever, and just had that one little mistake there with the shift. But yeah, I love having Rowan in this entry list. That's for sure.
Well, we've got Olivier Piatek, who finished 3rd in both races. Let's talk with him first. Olivier, P3 in both races tonight. That's a pretty good result. A couple of podiums to add to the list of points you've earned this season. This is a rough and tumble racetrack. Elbows were out tonight, especially at the tail end there, but not quite enough to run down Hibbett and Burkhardt there at the end. What you need to beat those two?
Just some luck, honestly. The elbows are definitely out. I mean, we're both on the edge of getting DQ'd every race. Race 1, I got damaged. Me and Nick made the slightest contact, gave me some wheel damage. Just really hard to tame that car. Didn't want to listen to me. So I did my best, got P3, good little crossover. Then race 2, I mean, I was in the fight. I was tire saving a lot, so I have a lot more tires for the last lap. And then we all just checked up, coming through one of the right-handers. I just had nowhere to go. Gave me front-end damage again. Just not really much you could have done in both situations, but that's racing. Still some good points for the championship.
Yeah, it was. Good consistency, 2/3, and you come in here after sitting in 9th in the points right now, but not that far out of it. And this is going to play well. A couple of the guys up front having little issues. You're definitely in this. Describe a lap around this track in traffic.
You just kind of want to brake early. Everyone just checks up. There's so much recording effect when they're braking, so you just want to give them room, focus on the exits here. It's a really tough track for tire work. There's not really any straightaway to cool the tire down, so you're just always turning. So it's really important to save your tires and just be set up for the last lap.
Yeah, no, we saw the last time we checked tire temps for this race, it was 135. Track temp was 135 degrees. So I think your tire saving was a darn fine plan, sir.
Yeah, and I was having some brake pedal issues all night, so I'm kind of happy to take away the 3 podiums.
Yeah, well done, especially when you're dealing with issues like that. To double podium, well played.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a good
Olivier.
night.
Yep. See you guys.
And Nicholas Rice-Pudo was 5th in both races, but let's talk with them. Nicholas, didn't really turn out the way that you were hoping, I'm sure, because of the pace you showed in race 1, but a pair of P5s. Not a bad night, but I know that you were hoping for more.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were going to interview me.
You can never be, hey, if you're an interviewer, you're fair game.
Yeah, I was just saying hi to everyone else, but yeah, man, that was rough. I'm not going to lie. To lose 3 positions on the last lap in race 1 and then come back in race 2 and just sitting on the back of them, just couldn't get close enough. It was just kind of miserable.
In that first race, early going, you look like you came out. I mentioned it that you're really adept at just making sure you score good points and all that. You came out and looked like guns slinging in that one.
I'm behind the 8 ball. I'm behind the 8 ball this season, so I have to do something. So the previous season I had such a good advantage, I didn't want to mess anything up. So
sure,
yeah. So
it looked like you had in that first race pace to run with Morgan. I mean, you got up on his left shoulder, which is the wrong side to be on, but you were able to stay right with him. It looked like you were really fast. And then you had, I think it was a slowdown, and that kind of put you behind everything, didn't it?
In race 1? No, race 1 I didn't get a slowdown. Just Cam didn't went for a pass, and then
Oh,
I just
that's
kinda
what it was.
slotted in
Yeah,
behind
that's
him
right.
just so
Yeah.
we could catch back up to him. But yeah, we all had the pace to stay with him. He's not untouchable anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's great. I got to tell you, I mean, both of these races, for large parts of it, it was 6 cars covered by a blanket, man. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, thanks for calling, guys. I'm excited to watch that race 1 lap 2 side by side though.
it was great.
So,
Well, we just kept saying, and they're still side by side. You're going to like it.
yeah. Cool.
All right, thanks a lot, Nicholas.
You guys have a good one.
You as well. All right, Camden Hibbett. He was a pair of seconds. Our podium was identical both races, to be honest. I didn't even know that. But
Yeah.
Camden Hibbett finishes P2 in both races. And, man, Camden, tonight, we just pointed out that both podiums were the same this evening. We didn't even notice that till just now. But P2, I know race 2 especially, you were setting up Morgan for the perfect passing opportunity. You just needed a couple more feet, 54 thousandths of a second. If you could do it all over again, would you do anything different?
I don't know. I have to go back and look. I don't really know what else I could have done different, I'm going to be honest. My goal was to keep him pinched a little bit more than what I did going into the hairpin. I made it work with Nick in race 1 and just couldn't make the same happen with Morgan, and hats off to him. He's stupid fast. I don't think he's to the point where he's untouchable anymore, but he's still got some of the best racecraft in the business, so it's a blast racing with him every week. Huge congrats on the double win, but yeah, I wish needed like you said, maybe 10-20 extra feet, and maybe we would have had him at the line.
It was that close. And the interesting thing to me, obviously with Josh Soto and Nicholas having some issues, those 2 seconds, yes, now Morgan got 2 wins, but those 2 seconds aren't going to hurt you in the points at all. When Kyle asked you, was there any point where you would have done something different? It looked to us like maybe 2 laps to go. You had a pretty good run up into turn 10 into Cunningham Corner, and we were kind of almost thinking you might just go for it down the inside. Were you entertaining that at all, or did you think, no, it's just too soon?
Yes and no. There were a couple times where, yeah, you probably could have made the move, but I knew Morgan had been saving tires that whole race, and don't get me wrong, I was saving well as well, but
Right.
I know how good he is at saving tires, and I figured he had a little bit more than what I had. So I wanted to make sure that there wasn't really an opportunity for him to come back on me. That was my goal. If I got to the lead a lap or 2 early, I wanted to be able to drive away and keep that gap, so I didn't have to do the battling in the final corner, which I ended up doing anyway, which wasn't perfect planning. But my goal was to get it done a little bit earlier in the white flag lap and maybe catch him off guard a little bit, but just couldn't get close enough until the final hairpin, really.
Right. And I mean, your idea there, I thought, was absolutely stellar. Get to the outside, pinch him a little bit, but just couldn't quite get it done. But again, man, it's just so fun. One, to watch you two race each other, and 2, just to watch your mind at work here on those last couple of laps, trying to figure a way through. Great stuff, Camden.
Yeah, it's been a really fun time racing with him, and I feel like we've kind of gotten these races where we can get a little bit of a breakaway and just go race each other really, really hard, and it's been a blast so far, and there's gonna be more and more to come this season. I think this track was a little bit different because it's such a bull ring and there's really no draft at all, so it was a little bit of a different dynamic, but we still had these super close races. Everybody was super tight. I think the top 5 were within a tenth or 2. So it's in qualifying at least. So this field is so tight this season, and it's been a blast racing Morgan. It's going to be a fun finish to the season for sure.
We couldn't agree with you more, man. Thanks for providing that excitement.
Thank you, guys.
You got it.
And Morgan Burkhardt wins both races tonight, one by a lot less than the other. But Morgan, both the other podium finishers and Nicholas Rice-Puto also said that you are not untouchable anymore, but that's after you claimed another weekend sweep here. 2 wins at Sebring, adding to your points calculations. So certainly this was a good round, but they all feel pretty confident that they can get by you. So what's the plan? I mean, you win 2 races here. Do you think you can repeat as we continue for the rest of the season?
I would like to say so, but with Sebring Club being such a technical track, and I apologize if my interview gets really broken up. I'm currently doing qualifying for another series. So if I think like once we go to Road America or Watkins Glen or a big track like that, it's kind of up in the air because we're so close as far as speed goes on the bigger tracks that it's, I mean, it really is a dogfight. Whoever's in the best position, whoever plays their cards right with the draft and tires is going to end up winning. But when we go to these little technical tracks, I think I have a small advantage with the tire saving, and every corner is a slow speed corner. So it's lots of time in lots of different places. But going to a Road America, you have one, maybe two slow speed corners. So it's really difficult to make up time on everybody when everybody's so close. But it is, I mean, it's really cool to see how much the series has grown, where season 1 it was like, you know, breaking away from the field, and now everybody's really close, and it's really hard to win one of these races. I mean, like, I think we've had 4, 5, 6 different winners so far this season alone, and last season was the same way. We had 4 races and there were 7 different winners. So it's really cool to see how much the pack is packed up, but it is going to be really difficult throughout the rest of the season. I just got to try and put in my practice, put in my work, and see if I can keep coming out on top. But it's more a racecraft battle than it is a pace battle anymore, which is really, really cool.
Well, it is, and I mean, we were talking about how in both races, for large chunks of it, we had 6 cars covered by, next to nothing, and just putting on an incredible show. And I do want to ask you on that last lap, going through Tower Turn, looked like you missed the apex just a little bit, and Camden was coming. And you did you sense that you'd run just a smidge wide and went into protect mode a bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
I just blew past the apex just a little bit. And that's all it takes is 6-7 inches of room off the apex is, half a mile an hour. And in that little short shoot, you can close up about half a tenth. And on the last lap, if you have an opportunity in these cars, you got to go for it. So I just had to make sure that it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, I understand, man. But I'll tell you what, it was absolutely a treat just calling these races, watching that big pack, and then you and Camden at the end here fighting it out. As always, man, congratulations. Super job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It should be a repeat next week.
I would think.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Greg, man, what another battle here at Sebring, and this track never disappoints in any layout, any configuration. It is a lot of fun, but as Camden pointed out, it's a bull ring here, and we're not going to see that a lot throughout the rest of the season. We don't have Lime Rock on the calendar like we did last time, so this track kind of takes its place. As I look at the calendar for the rest of the season, Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Daytona, Homestead, Road America, Sebring, those are draft tracks in a Miata, Greg, and we're going back to high speeds starting next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this dynamic, I mean, it was still incredibly close, but it happened through a whole different set of circumstances. We go back to those fast tracks, and particularly Road Atlanta, where we're heading to, it is so fast. You're drafting. I mean, obviously you've got 10A, 10B, but the rest of it is really, really quick. Lots of drafting and constant change of direction. So you've got to really be on your game there, because if you have an off, it's obviously going to be big. But yeah, there's nothing left. I'm looking at that schedule too. And Road Course B, when we go to Homestead, that's running that oval section, which is all draft as well. So this was kind of a one-off, but man, did it produce some fun, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think also Morgan pointed out that, he's no longer fighting a pace battle, it's a racecraft battle, which I think is really exciting, because that's why we're seeing everyone get up and physical up at the front, because they're all right on top of each other. And the tracks that we've got on the list are just prime for some of the best racing that we've ever seen. And there's prizes on the line, and there's new partners involved, so they're going to get to see a great show in the next couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. We haven't talked about those prizes. The first place for the first eligible driver, Sabalt GT Pad race seat. Second place, Sim Lab XP1 pedals. Third place, iFlag LED flag box. And I mean, just some incredible prizes that are coming as, again, Court Schmidt and Full Send Sims continue to grow this series. And in that regard, welcoming a brand new Tier 2 level sponsor in FARA, the Formula and Auto Racing Association. So great. to have them on board as part of this championship now. And then, of course, the great partners that we have had right from the off here. Final Turn Motorsports, Rob Greenwood and that great group, just doing the superb work that they do at the track in real world racing, but supporting us here. Same thing for Frank Rodriguez and 3P Logistics, with us right since the very beginning. So make sure, and it was great to see those guys at Sebring with a lot of cars there when I was there announcing the recent FARA race. And of course, can't forget Wine Country Motorsports, who stepped up and helped out as well. And we really appreciate it. But going to wrap things up here from what has been an incredibly exciting Sebring short course, and it's going to get even more intense next Tuesday night, Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. Again, if you want a little bit of free time on that track, or you're not really familiar with it, comfortable with it, Thursday night, 7 p.m., group practice. Just check out fullsendsims.com, and they'll take care of it for you. Can't wait to see y'all next week. For Kyle Heyer and for Vinny and DeCuna, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much for joining us here with Full Send Sims. Spec Miata.
Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway to the second round of the new FARA USA Championship Series. And this series is taking it to a brand new level. Whatever kind of racing you might be interested in terms of road racing, FARA provides it. Do you like formula car racing? Well, we have Formula FARA. That's for the young guns coming out of karting that might well become the future in a few years of open wheel racing in the United States, maybe even globally. A massive field of GT cars. Racing is absolutely fabulous. And here's the start for the GT cars. And a good field of prototypes as well. And if you like multi-class sports car racing where it is non-stop passing, FARA is doing it. The prototypes have picked up the green. We are racing. Over 30 Pro Spec Miatas here for this second round of 2024. We're green, we're flying, Pro Spec Miata, very even start. If you want to come and watch it, you can get in free. That's FARA, the Formula and Auto Racing Association. To many, it's the Fans Auto Racing Association.